Listening Fanfiction presents In the Hearts of Men by Procer132. Based on the movie Rise of the Guardians from DreamWorks. Narrated for you by Sarah Feast. Chapter 1. Chance. This is unacceptable. Aster could put up with a lot of things for the sake of his holiday. Sweltering sun, sheets of rain. Hell, one time he'd had a typhoon about to hit the south coast of the States, and he'd still gone out. He grit his teeth against the cold that gave him chattering. It was one thing to shiver when he had fur to hide it. It was quite another to chatter like a kid's toy. "What the bloody hell is going on?" he muttered, staring around him. Snow was flying thick, whipped into a frenzy by wild winds. If he'd been up north, he could have made the excuse that it was just a wild winter. This was absolutely unacceptable for mid-April in Georgia! He heard the faint sound of a human voice, not a child's. Thank the stars, he prayed he wouldn't find any kids in the snow, not until it had calmed. But a bit young even still. It was swearing creatively, though. Aster followed the sound, biting his lip. In the back of his head rang the perpetual alarm of, "Easter is here! Hide the eggs! Run to the next stop! Easter is here! Hide them!" But he did his best to ignore it. "Hello!" he shouted as he neared. There was a strong chance that they couldn't hear him, either because of the wind shrieking and howling, or because they didn't believe, but he had to try. "Who the fuck is on this right now?" the voice replied, sounding furious. Great! Another one! What the fuck?" Aster had trouble making out the bloke who came into view, the snow blinding him to anything more than 5 feet out. If it hadn't been for his dark blue shirt, he might not have seen him at all. He was visibly a teenager, somewhere in his late teens, but his eyes landed firmly on Aster. A believer at this age? Aster wondered, but it couldn't be because the kid swore again upon seeing him. "Seriously? Fuck, is that Lane? Fuck! The kid's eyes flashed bright blue, glowing in the thick snow. Not human then, some kind of sprite. "Is this all you?" Aster asked neutrally, trying to keep his temper, as the wind shrieked and his internal panic shrieked louder. The only thing helping him was his bewilderment. What the hell kind of winter sprite could do this much damage on his own? "Definitely not!" the kid snapped. "Do you see this? This is Georgia! What the fuck would I make it snow in Georgia? It's April! It's Easter! Not that I have to tell you that!" Well, that was a surprise and a relief. Aster shivered in the wind again and frustratedly bit out, "Then what the bleeding hell is going on?" The kid had a double take. Okay, you swear. Did not expect that." He visibly shook himself. "As far as I can tell, some kind of prank? Not mine. A plus forever, but D for timing at best. Seriously, these guys need some kind of training because this is just embarrassing, and now I'm going to explain to the goddamn Easter Bunny that his holiday is screwed over, which is like asking—" "Slow down," Aster interrupted, bewildered. Stars and suns, this kid could talk. "I'll prank." He grit his teeth as another gust of wind slammed into him and shivered harder. "Yeah, isn't it groovy?" the kid said, voice a cynic. Aster bristled. "Look, I'll take care of it, promise, but there's this kid." Aster flinched. "There's a tinlet out in base?" "Yeah, have you seen her? Where is she?" The kid was staring at him, blue eyes wide with hope so strong Aster could feel it from here. "I haven't," Aster replied, and the hope died back a little. He flinched and added, hastily trying to silence the screaming of "Easter! Easter! Easter!" in his head. "What does she look like? Where'd you see her last?" "You're going to—" "Of course you are," the kid said, shaking his head. "Why am I even surprised? Guardian. Sorry, right, she's got a blue windbreaker on with yellow flowers. She's about this tall." He held a pale hand up to his waist. "And I heard her mom call her Patty." "You don't know her?" Aster asked. He'd thought from the kid's concern that it had to be a friend of his. The kid's face twisted. "She can't, We don't have time," he said. "You look for her, okay? I'll try to handle the storm." The kid waved impishly, and the wind that had been battering Aster all along picked him up gentle as could be. Not just a sprite, then. Something more powerful. "Just get her somewhere safe," the kid said, scowling up at the sky. "Then, go do the Easter thing. Don't call me, I'll call you," the kid added with a grit, white as the snow, and then rocketed up. Aster stared for a second, then cocked his ears left and right, listening as hard as he could. The snow muffled everything, but now that he knew what he was listening for, young girl, probably 7 or so, lost and scared, it was an easier task. "Patty," he called, voice cutting through the snow, and there, a rustling 20 yards to his left. He felt the child's hope flare up at hearing her own name, and a thin, high voice called back, "Here! I'm over here!" He darted in that direction, nearly running into a tree as he went. Blasted, snow-blasted winter sprints who had no sense of timing! And quickly found her huddled beneath some bushes. She was shivering hard, her little body thin and dark against the storm, hair done in neat rows of braids. "Patty?" he repeated, and she looked up. Her brown eyes went wide, the white of her eyes stark against her dark, dark skin, and she scrambled to her feet. "Oh my gosh!" she said, staring at him. "The Easter Bunny?" "The one and only," Aster said, smiling and crouching beside her, blocking some of the wind. "Had you got a little lost." "You're real! You're real!" she exclaimed, reaching out her hands to his, burying her chilled fingers in his fur. "I told Andrew you were real! I told him! Oh, I'm going to kick his butt for this!" "Was that why you were out there?" Aster asked, picking her up easily. She clung to the ruff of fur around his shoulders, starry-eyed. "You were looking for me? There's a few hours still to go, you know." "I know," she said, dropping her gaze. "But he said you weren't real, and it made me mad. I was going to prove it. Then it started snowing like it does up by Grandpa, and I couldn't see. I was going to hold still so Mama could find me." "You did good," he said, turning back the way he came, he hoped. "Let's get you home to your diamond later. I'll leave you an extra good, yeah?" The girl nodded, smiling again, and then there was a great whoosh of air. She shrieked, surprised, and Aster held her tight as she flailed. She buried her head in his fur, but he looked straight up, agape. The snow was lifting, stopping. Above him, faster than it should, the sky was clearing, still thick with stars, and there was a faint, cold blue glow high in the air. He didn't! A whole blizzard! On his own! The blue glow descended abruptly, erratically, like it was being jerked around. Aster reacted without thinking. He dove forward. Patty held tightly to himself as she shrieked in excitement. The light, the kid from before, Aster could see him clearly now, landed sloppily in the snow, tripping to his knees and catching himself on his staff. Aster arrived a split second later, concern beating a tattoo over his heart. "Are you all right?" he demanded. The kid looked up and over, startled, but before he could respond, Patty asked from her squashed position, "Who are you talking to?" Aster looked down at the little girl, then back at the kid, whose face was wide and fearful and so pained. "Afraid," he said to Patty. "He'll help us get you home, all right?" Patty looked very skeptical, but nodded slowly. Aster looked back at the kid, who somehow looked more panicked. "Can you show me the way to the dog's house? The dam has to be worried after death." Yeah, I can, do that," the kid said, stumbling over the words in the same way he stumbled to his feet. "I'm fine," he said to Aster's look. "It's just a lot to hold back. Hold on." The kid looked up to the stars and then turned to his left. "This way," he said. "Like half a mile. Her mom was looking for her, but had to go in because of the storm. I'll let you, do that." "Why did?" Aster commanded, hoping the skittish kid would listen, and hitched Patty up and onto his back. "Hold on," he told her, and she nodded, looking from him to different points in the snowy clearing as if trying to figure out where the kid was. Aster loped over in the direction the kid had indicated until he came to a run-down neighborhood. He passed just outside the line of houses, each house lit up, and knelt, letting Patty jump down to the ground. "You know which house is yours?" "Yeah, that one." Patty nodded. She paused, then darted forward, throwing her arms around his shoulders in an inexpert but tight hug. Aster hugged her back, wrapping himself around her little body, giving over some of the spring warmth that was always present in his bones. "Thank you," she whispered, "for getting me back, and thank your friend, okay? Even if I can't see him doesn't mean he's not real, right?" she said, leaning back. "Like maybe Andrew can't see you, but you're still real." "Right on the nose," he said, and poked hers. She wrinkled her nose good-naturedly. "Now get on home. Your dam's gotta be worried, and I've got to hide the eggs so you can find them, lady, yeah?" "Okay," she said. He kissed his cheek. "Thank you, Mr. Easter Bunny." "Go on," he laughed, sending her off, and she went, a dark streak, up to the house across the street. Aster waited until he heard a high female shriek of surprise and relief, and then turned around. He bounded back to the clearing and arrived just in time to see the kid start to make his way out of the clearing. "Thought I told you to wait," he said mildly, and the kid yelped, almost tripping over himself as he turned around. "You came back," the kid said, looking stunned, and Aster flicked his ears. "Course I did," he said, stepping nearer. The boy backed up a bit, a natural instinct, and Aster paused. "I don't blame you for what happened," he said firmly. The kid relaxed all at once, slumping over on his staff. "Oh, thank God!" he breathed. "Seriously, you look like you could kick my ass twice over. You have no idea what a relief that is." "I'm not so sure, mate," Aster said thoughtlessly. "You just banished the blizzard. Who knows how big? You might, He coughed, looked to the side so that he didn't have to look at the way the kid stared at him. Of the whole coast, the kid said, looking a little dazed when Astor glanced back over. From Florida up to Maine. Maine's going to be buried, sorry. Not your fault, Astor said awkwardly, and they were silent a moment. Why couldn't she see you? Astor asked, desperate to break the silence. The kid froze. No one can, the kid said, looking like the words hurt to say. They walk through me, and everyone else who can see me is, well, like us. And they don't like me very much. Astor frowned. I'm sorry, he offered a little helplessly. Then, as if it was waiting for a vulnerable moment, his eternal Easter siren shrieked to life and he flinched. Oh, shite, I've got that. Ugh, and in all this snow. The kid flinched. I'm sorry, he said, and Astor shook his head vehemently. No, it's not your fault, he said, and smiled at the kid. What's your name? The kid blinked. Jack Frost. Astor nodded. Nice to meet you, Jack, he said. I'll see you around. Stop by Australia sometime. I owe you a thanky, Jockey. The kid's eyes were wide, stunned. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I can try that, he said, weak in the voice. Astor nodded and dropped back into one of his tunnels, the googs below ready to be hidden, and hoped he wouldn't regret inviting a winter sprite to his home. The home he'd not let anyone see in centuries. He saved me holiday, Astor thought, herding the googs along and directing a few more towards Patty's neighborhood. He deserves that at least. Above, on the surface, Jack had no idea whether he should laugh or... Well, he would just have to laugh, was all. He talked to me. He didn't hate me. He didn't blame me. All on loop in his head, and there was a giddy Lioness and the Easter Bunny saved the little girl, even though he had to be busy out of his skull, and he'd not ripped Jack a new one for something that wasn't his fault. Jack didn't have a lot of experience with that, since it seems like it was Winter's favorite game to blame him for everything, even when he really hadn't done it. The blizzard and its sprite creators bucked against his control, trying to bring the storm back. Prank his ass! It was a trap! Clear as day, though whether it was for the kids that some winter sprites found tasty, or for... Wow, that was a dumb idea, if true! Jack bared his teeth at the sky, towards the ever-silent moon and the hiding sprites. Not today, he muttered and held out his arms. Wind, take me north. Let's see if we can't clear the way a little. The wind answered, cheerful, shrieking as always, and Jack laughed with her. If some ice hit the ground in his wake, they were tiny droplets, nothing more.